All right. Egg Bowl, 2016 Egg Bowl is in the books, 55-20. Mississippi State now has the Egg for the first time in 2 years. They ran for 457 yards. Jamal Peters had a ridiculous interception in the end zone, which is a play that secondary usually doesn't make. I don't make that. The way they played at the point of attack and with the ball was pretty impressive considering kind of who they are and who they aren't. I still thought that Stringfellow and A.J. Brown and Jefferson would have even Adeboyejo would have a field day against that group.
Right.
I felt like Shea Patterson's 300+. Drew, you can comment on this. And Jackson, you guys were there. I felt like Shea's 300+ was a quiet 300.
Very quiet. Everything they did was quiet.
It's not like they didn't put up yards. I mean, Shea had 300+. Akeem had over 100. For whatever reason, he made some really good plays, and his receivers made good plays at times, but I felt like it was a quiet 300+. I guess when you get beat 55-20, maybe that's it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
They got bogged down in the red zone a lot.
That's a good point. That's what it was. And I think it was 2 4th downs. Mississippi State stopped them in several third downs.
2 field goals.
Yeah. And they didn't score in the second half, which surprised all of us.
Yeah, surprised everyone. I'm telling you, the play of the game.
That Mississippi State defense where Arkansas didn't punt, Leo Lewis and Kevon Coleman and some of those other guys, Brandon Bryant, until he got a concussion, was playing the best game of his season.
Right.
He had been burned and had decided not to tackle all year. But Brandon Bryant and Leo Lewis, and I would say, Jamal Peters kind of set the tone for that defense. Jonathan Calvin really hit Shea Patterson. And I don't know if y'all weren't watching on TV, but is it Katie or Kelly Hartung?
Kaylee.
Who?
Kaylee.
Kaylee Hartung mentioned that Patterson got hit and rattled early, and you could just tell. Look, he's young. That's not like getting hit in high school by a dude that's 178 pounds who was like all of us, just out there, grinding and so on. When you get hit by Leo Lewis, who's 200 and what is Leo, 240? It's just a different deal. It's just a different deal.
From an offensive yardage standpoint, looking at the numbers, you'd think Ole Miss would have scored way more than 20. I mean, State outgained Ole Miss by 38 yards.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the two field goals. We always talk about how this day and age you have to convert red zone trips into touchdowns. And the fourth, all right, so that was 2 field goals. Then the 4th down on the 17-yard line.
Which was the key game, with the key play of the game.
Yeah, that's where the momentum totally swung back to Mississippi State, and they never relinquished it. Right?
That was...
Fourth down and one-ish. And
that was the play of the game. Now,
and you didn't kick it to make it 27-23.
That was the play of the game, but the play that defined the game was a different play than that one. It was definitely the Peters interception. Because that just showed you, look, the effort that I saw from Ole Miss was not there. And I think in any other ball game, he's not going to make that catch. You're going to see the receiver swat at it at least.
Right.
The receiver watched him.
Adeboyejo.
Adeboyejo just looked at him.
Who's considered a heck of a receiver. In fact, we talked a lot about him in the offseason. He didn't end up having the year I thought he would because of Ingram and Stringfellow and some others. But Adeboyejo's a senior going against a sophomore, a true sophomore in Jamal Peters. And Jamal has not been the player that they thought he would be.
Right.
And there's still some people up there in Starkville who do not believe that he'll be all that, but he played a good game.
Well, I don't know how many people
still can't
tried
figure
to
out
make
which position he should be playing.
Bobbling catch like that. The majority of the DBs that I'm assuming here that the majority of DBs, they're going to bat that ball down. But the concentration that it takes to bat
Oh,
that
to
ball,
bobble it?
multiple times, not one time. I mean, he bobbled that ball, 3 times?
Yeah.
And then to come away with it and have the awareness of where his feet were in the end zone and make sure he was in. It took a lot. And Boyzer, like I said, he just sat there and watched him. He was a fan at that point. Swat. All you had to do is stick a hand out there. He sticks his hand out there, and that's a whole different ball game to me. And if Shea makes a better throw, as a quarterback, you're the only place you're supposed to put that is where your receiver can get to it. You put it on the back shoulder,
Right
and he did not.
On the Adebayo back left pylon side, not on the inside towards Peters. But I mean, he's a true freshman. He's gonna get better. But that wasn't a good throw.
You know that.
He was actually. You guys didn't get to see the angles. He threw behind receivers
Left and right.
a lot,
Yeah.
and that was just he's going to learn. He's going to be really. He had happy feet,
He did.
and when you have happy feet, you don't push the ball down the field. I mean that's the whole thing, right? I mean that's what Dilfer and Feldman's book was all about. Hips down, can you push the ball down the field with velocity? And there were several times where he threw well behind the Ole Miss receiver, who a lot of times at least was somewhat open. Drew?
He also had a pretty big drop by Van Jefferson, I believe, at the end of the second quarter, which was probably, it may have been a touchdown or it would have gotten like inside the 10.
Yeah.
And I believe they ended up getting a field goal in that possession.
You're right.
That was another big drop.
That was 27-17 and ended up being 27-20 going into half.
Right.
Yeah.
But regardless, I mean, the game goes back to that 4th and 1, and we talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, how crucial getting any points are. I mean, it's tough to score. Well, it wasn't last night or wasn't Saturday for State, but you're Ole Miss, you need those points.
And we talked about it before.
I mean,
last week. We talked about it last week where, like, if Ole Miss had bogged State down in the red zone, the field goal kicking advantage was Ole Miss.
Oh, by far.
All day long.
But
Weston
State would
Graves
break it
missed
off and score.
His first PAT.
When he missed that PAT, I think, I looked around, I was just kind of like, oh, here we go. Setting the tone early.
I don't think that gave the MSU sidelines any confidence. And I think Mullen probably had already decided, but I think right then and there he probably said, even if they're inside the 25, in the 20, he's playing 4 downs to get wherever they need to go, whether they need to convert a first or get into the end zone.
I think we're getting another kicker in the offseason, right?
Yeah, and Weston Graves is just a struggle.
Is Mullen still doesn't run special teams, does he?
He runs it with Greg Knox for whatever that's worth. You can, I mean, I don't think Greg is a wizard or a guru when it comes to X's and O's. Greg Knox is another one of the offensive side of the football, I think, that you could argue is an average to below average recruiter with Hevesy and Salick, whatever his name is. Those are the 3 that have been identified as not good. But whereas Brian Johnson, the quarterback coach, is the one that has Keaton Thompson committed down in New Orleans. And Billy Gonzalez has landed some recruits. But, man, having 3 out of the 9 that are not good recruiters.
Well, they call them the Country Club Boys. What was that?
Yeah.
Was that it?
I can't remember what that maroonandwhitenation.com just rips those guys.
As they should.
Are they going to survive because Mississippi State won by 35 points
if they do, it's ridiculous.
In the Egg Bowl? I agree. I still think he's got to take his Country Club Boys out.
Weston Graves was 10 of 18 this year.
Yeah. He once he missed, I mean, look, he missed the first big kick of the year against South Alabama. And from there, it was
downhill.
It was a struggle. So, do you replace your field goal kicker? Yes, or do you bring in guys for competition in the spring? Absolutely.
Hold open trial.
See what happens.
Hold an open tryout.
Yeah,
there's somebody on that campus that played soccer somewhere. They can go out there and kick. I understand it's a lot different when you got big boys running at you. But I mean,
it's a totally different deal.
It's a whole different ball game.
Ask Shea Patterson if it was different from IMG to SEC, and he didn't face Bama, LSU, or Auburn, who all had those 3 teams had the best defensive talent in the league. He faced A&M, Vandy, and Mississippi State.
Maybe he just. I think Graves just wanted it to be a 5 touchdown ball game as opposed to them winning by 56. 56. It sounds better 5 touchdowns. You don't have to say 5 touchdowns. It's just easier.
Drew, your thought? Oh, okay. Was it worth pulling the red shirt?
I think that's a big hindsight.
I mean, it is.
But you can see it. It's popping up everywhere.
I knew it was coming. I mean,
what did your friends think? Did they mention it, or did they just that wasn't a piece of the puzzle for them?
I think it was mostly defensive coordinator talk after the game. But
okay,
I mean,
maybe we should get into that. But go ahead with.
But I mean,
Shay.
Okay, before the A&M game when it got pulled, ideally, yes, you have in mind that, hey, we're pulling it, go to a bowl game, get the extra practices.
After the A&M ball game, I mean, look, that was the best decision Freeze ever made.
It was. You scored 23 points in the fourth quarter and you win.
But I mean, here's where I stand. The whole offseason, if you had played, let's face it, the quarterback wasn't the issue the whole season, really. Even if you had Chad Kelly, you would have lost these ball games to State and Vanderbilt. So
I don't know. I'm not willing to go there.
I don't know about that.
I mean, the linebacker play was just too. The defensive play was just too bad to.
Well, okay. What happened to the D line? Marquise Haynes, Benito Jones,
guys that didn't perform.
DJ Jones. I know Fadal was back and forth as far as health, but let's just go with Isaac Gross, DJ Jones, Benito Jones, and Marquise Haynes. Were you surprised at their performance?
Yeah, I was. But, I mean, sometimes you got to have a linebacker to plug a hole, which didn't happen. I mean, the D-line did underperform, but the back seven was just I mean, really, really bad, and it doesn't help the D-line at all.
Yeah.
But back to the Shea thing is, I mean, you go into the offseason, if you had lost these 2 games, you go 5-7 with Chad Kelly, you're hoping that Shea Patterson is good all offseason, and now you kind of know what you have.
Somewhat.
Look, he's a good player.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got a long way to go, though. I mean,
but game experiences, there's no substitute for game experience.
You're right there. He had people coming after him, especially Vandy and Mississippi State. I'm surprised at MSU. Vandy's pretty good D. You're right. He understands now, what it's like to get lit up in the SEC. Not Bama, LSU, Auburn lit up, but to get hit. And Freeze will work with him in the offseason. He's got to stay in the pocket, got to throw it from the pocket, and really has to develop his game from the pocket.
Wouldn't you rather have an offseason to adjust than trying to see that those flaws early on next year?
I agree.
Having to adjust within a week.
Well, pulling the red shirt was
he got 3 games. He got 3 games in. So, and he put up some big yards. Granted, just about everybody's putting up big yards as far as stats this day and age. Live in the Bank Plus studio, we welcome you in on a Monday. Mississippi State 55, Ole Miss 20. Who saw that happening? What about Michigan, Ohio State? What about Vandy with the big win over Tennessee? What about Butch deciding to kick the field goal on 4th down when you still may have a shot to get it back? And what about Georgia losing to Georgia Tech? And then Florida,
he's
just
like a bad drinking game. It just won't end.
No kidding. Butch Jones is. And now we've got Eddie O. I'm loving you. What about Kevin Sumlin getting run out of his own stadium by an LSU team that can't throw a 9-yard forward pass? I'd like to hear from you.
Twitter, Darius Guice, baby.
Right.
But preaching about Guice.
Twitter handle @BowBounds. Brought to you by favorites.com. New auto rate, same great service. You can get a quote in 4 minutes or less. Brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. We'll discuss all those coming up. And at the 9 o'clock hour, Matt Wyatt, MSU color analyst, 9:30.